Something serious is brewing inside Downing Street today. Allegations have surfaced that one of Keir Starmer's most trusted advisors may have interfered with a major national security investigation, one that could have exposed something far bigger. The claims involve China, trade, and a report that mysteriously vanished from public view. What happened behind closed doors is now raising serious questions about who this government really serves, and what they might be trying to hide. Let's break it down, but first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. It's a story that's shaking Westminster today, one that goes right to the heart of national security and right to the top of Keir Starmer's government. Sir Keir's own national security advisor, Jonathan Powell, stands accused of suppressing an investigation into Chinese espionage after receiving a warning from the Treasury that publishing too much detail could hurt Britain's trade and investment with Beijing. According to reports, Powell personally removed key references to espionage and Chinese infiltration from the Foreign Office's long-awaited China audit, a document Starmer himself had promised as part of Labour's election manifesto. That audit, remember, was supposed to show how a Labour government would confront the growing challenge China poses, both economically and strategically. But when the final report was completed earlier this year, entire sections on Chinese spying were stripped out, reportedly on Powell's orders, after Treasury officials warned it could harm Britain's economic ties with China. And this is where the scandal deepens. Between October 2024 and June 2025, Foreign Office investigators had interviewed witnesses, analysts, and intelligence staff to lay out what they described as the full spectrum of threats, including espionage. But when the audit was finally published, just 2 paragraphs made it into Starmer's official national security strategy. That omission has now set off alarm bells across Westminster. Critics say the decision left MPs completely in the dark, while former ministers and senior security figures have accused the Labour government of choosing trade interests over transparency. The backlash was immediate. Former Home Secretary Dame Priti Patel blasted the move as another example of cover-up and collusion within the Labour government when it comes to foreign policy in China. She added, "Labour clearly cannot be trusted when it comes to national security." But it doesn't end there. The revelations come only weeks after another major controversy, the collapse of a spy case against 2 men accused of working for the Chinese state. The UK's top prosecutor publicly blamed Sir Keir's government for that case falling apart after Whitehall allegedly refused to provide key evidence to the Crown Prosecution Service. Both suspects, Christopher Cash and Christopher Berry, walked free after prosecutors said they were unable to prove China posed a threat to national security, a claim that shocked intelligence insiders. Reports now suggest that Jonathan Powell himself chaired a meeting about that case just before it collapsed. Downing Street, of course, denies any wrongdoing. Officials insist that Mr. Powell had no involvement in the decision to withhold evidence. Keir Starmer also weighed in, saying, "Ministers were not involved in any of the decisions since this government's been in. The evidence before the court reflected the situation under the last government, but many in Parliament aren't buying it." They point out that even as Britain's intelligence agencies raised red flags over Chinese espionage, Starmer's team continued pushing for closer trade links with Beijing. Powell's official strategy even recommended pursuing direct and high-level engagement with China to build a so-called reciprocal and balanced economic relationship. And the timing couldn't be more suspicious because just one day before Foreign Secretary David Lammy addressed Parliament about the China audit, senior members of the Chinese Communist Party were reportedly meeting with Powell and UK business leaders in Whitehall. That prompted furious reactions from MPS. The chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee, Dame Emily Thornberry, said Parliament and the public had been left with more questions than answers. She warned that Britain was now operating in the dark, with crucial security information being kept from both lawmakers and the public. Meanwhile, Chancellor Rachel Reeves met with her Chinese counterpart just 2 weeks before Lammy's statement, discussing ways to strengthen Anglo-Chinese economic relations. So while the government insists that much of the audit remains classified for security reasons, critics see a pattern, one that suggests Labour is prioritising trade diplomacy over national defence. A government spokesman tried to calm the storm, saying, "In June, we published a summary of the audit consistent with our Five Eyes partners. The full report is classified to protect national security." But for many, that doesn't wash, because this isn't just about classification. It's about trust, transparency, and whether the British public is being told the full truth about Chinese interference in the UK. If the accusations are true, that Starmer's closest aide deliberately watered down or buried evidence of espionage, then this could prove to be one of the most serious security scandals of his premiership so far. And as Parliament demands answers and newspapers prepare to release more details, one question now looms large. Has Keir Starmer's government put trade with China above the safety of the British people?
In other news, an Al-Qaeda terrorist could be released from prison in just months as the jihadi behind a ricin poison attack plot faces parole in December. A second jihadi, Ibrahim Roger Anderson, is also due to be released in just weeks. Terrorist Kamel Bourgass had also been convicted of stabbing a police officer to death. He first entered Britain in 2000. Delivering the news live on air, Patrick Christys reported, "He plotted a mass poisoning that could have indiscriminately killed as many men, women, and children as possible. He planned to spread ricin, the poison, around London. He even wanted to smear it on people's car door handles." Kamel Bourgass was jailed initially for 17 years in 2005 for that plot. But in 2003, he was actually jailed for life with a minimum of 23 years for murdering Detective Constable Stephen Oak. The murdered detective was conducting a raid on the house in Crumpsall, Manchester, which is where the synagogue attack took place last week. Remarkable, isn't it? What? A massive act of national self-harm, Patrick fumed. He further revealed that Anderson, 44, of Luton, who was jailed for drumming up support for Islamic State, as well as disseminating ISIS execution videos, is due to be released in the coming weeks. He actually told an undercover police officer that he wanted London to be under the Islamic State flag. Patrick added, "Parole officials said this: Mr. Anderson had undertaken an accredited program to address extremist offending and ways of disengaging. Mr. Anderson engaged well with this and completed all the required work to a good standard. The panel was told that all necessary work in a prison environment had been undertaken, and Mr. Anderson had also been working with an imam to help him better understand his faith." 2 witnesses supported Mr. Anderson's release. A third witness supported the release with a degree of caution. In this case, protective factors which would reduce the risk of reoffending were considered to be the support Mr. Anderson has from professionals and from his family. He's been seen to be motivated to do well in the future and to work openly with those involved in the case. Previously, Anderson was thrown behind bars after pleading guilty to 10 counts of disseminating terrorist publications, as well as admitting 4 charges of possession of terrorist publications. Judge Philip Katz QC described the footage as the worst end of the range seen in this court. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you have not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.